Okay, so you're thinking about hiring a SOC2 consultant, which, let's be honest, can feel kind of like wandering through a maze blindfolded. We're going to break it all down for you in just 2 minutes in this deep dive so you can confidently pick the right person for the job. We're drawing from the awesome resources over at theperfectdeveloper.com. They're like the go to source for finding top tech talent. And speaking of finding the perfect fit, they've got this super helpful tool called the 5 questions. It helps you really pinpoint what you need in a developer, whether it's for SOC2 or any other project. Seriously, go check it out at theperfectdeveloper.com. But first, let's tackle the basics. What exactly does a SOC2 consultant do? It sounds kind of intimidating.
It's not about intimidation. It's about being thorough. Think of them as specialized architects, but for your data security. They make sure you meet what's called the AICPA's Trust Services Criteria. It sounds complicated, but really it boils down to 5 main areas: security, availability, processing, integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. For you, that translates to protecting your customer data, making sure your services are always up and running smoothly, and ensuring that your operations are accurate and secure. All super important for building trust with your clients and avoiding those costly security breaches that nobody wants.
So it's about being proactive, not just reacting after something goes wrong. I get it. But what does that look like day to day? I mean, are they like combing through lines of code or what?
It's kind of a mix of detective work and strategic planning. They'll start by looking at your current security setup. They'll do an assessment and find any weaknesses, kind of like a security audit. Then they'll work with you to create strong policies and procedures, ones that meet the SOC2 standards so your data practices are top notch. And when it's time for the official audit, they're your guide. They'll make sure you're totally prepped and ready to ace it.
Okay, so definitely more than just a fancy title then. So how are they different from your regular IT or cybersecurity folks? Is it just a matter of experience?
Exactly. Your IT department handles the daily tech stuff. But SOC2 consultants, they're laser focused on compliance and risk management, specifically for those SOC2 audits. Think of them as specialists who know the ins and outs of this whole complex world. They're there to guide you through every step of the process.
Okay, makes sense. Now the big question everyone wants to know, how much does this specialized expertise actually cost?
Well, it really depends on their experience, just like most jobs. Someone just starting out might be making around $60,000 to $90,000 a year. But the really experienced consultants, they can earn anywhere from 130,000 to 180,000 or even more. And if you're thinking about hiring an independent contractor, be prepared to shell out between 150 and $300 an hour.
Wow, that's quite a range. And I'm guessing location plays a role in those rates too.
You're absolutely right. Consultants in big cities like New York or London or in major European cities, they tend to charge higher rates. It's a combination of higher costs of living and just more demand for their services. Basic economics at work.
Makes sense. So now we've got a handle on what they do and what it might cost.
Mhm.
But how do you decide whether to hire someone full-time, part-time, in-house, or outsource the whole thing? How do you even start figuring out the best way to go about it?
Honestly, there's no one right answer. The best approach depends on your company, how big it is your budget, and how much SOC2 support you need on an ongoing basis. A small startup might only need a part-time consultant, while a big company with tons of data might need a whole full-time in-house team for the best security and peace of mind.
Got it. And what about this idea of looking globally for talent? Should you stick to local consultants or venture out overseas? What are the pros and cons there?
That's a really good question. And it's becoming more and more important as businesses go global. Tapping into the international market can give you a lot of options, a whole bunch of skilled professionals, and often at a lower cost.
That's definitely appealing. But I imagine there's some challenges too, like managing a team across different time zones and cultures.
You're right about that. Communication can get a bit trickier, and cultural differences can sometimes lead to misunderstandings. But with the right tools and a commitment to clear communication, those hurdles can definitely be overcome.
So it's a trade-off, weighing those potential cost savings against the need for clear communication and making sure everyone's on the same page.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about what SOC2 consultants do, how much they cost, and different ways to hire them. But now the million-dollar question. How do you make sure you're getting the most out of whoever you choose, whether you hire locally or go global?
Well, it really boils down to two things: clear communication and setting realistic expectations right from the start. Before you even start interviewing, sit down and figure out exactly what you need and what your goals are for SOC2 compliance. What are your biggest worries? What areas need the most attention? Once you have that figured out, it'll be way easier to choose a consultant who's the right fit for your needs.
That makes total sense.
Uh,
Like having a roadmap before you set out on a trip.
Yeah.
But once you've got the plan in place, how do you make sure everything runs smoothly throughout the whole process?
Regular communication is key. Schedule regular check-ins to talk about progress. Address any problems that come up and make sure everyone's on the same page. Don't be afraid to ask questions and bring up any concerns you have. A good consultant will appreciate your input and keep you in the loop every step of the way.
So it's all about building that open communication and a collaborative relationship.
Exactly. And remember, SOC2 compliance isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process. You need to constantly monitor and improve things. So even after your first audit, stay in touch with your consultant. Get their advice on staying compliant and be proactive about tackling any new security risks that pop up.
That's really helpful advice. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
No problem at all.
This has been a super insightful deep dive into the world of SOC2 consultants. We hope you feel more confident and prepared to make the right decisions for your business. Remember, finding the right SOC2 consultant can be a total game changer. It's not just about checking off boxes. It's about building trust with your clients and keeping your valuable data safe. And if you're ready to start your search, don't forget to check out theperfectdeveloper.com. Their 5 questions tool can be incredibly helpful in finding that perfect match.
It really simplifies the whole process. Give it a try and see for yourself.
Okay, folks, that's it for this deep dive. We hope you learned a lot. Remember, building a security-first culture is a journey, and having the right guide can make all the difference. Until next time, stay secure. And don't forget to check out theperfectdeveloper.com and those 5 questions. It might just be the key to unlocking your security success.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay, so let's dive into those hiring models a bit more. Let's start with full-time in-house consultants. That means you've got a dedicated SOC2 expert right there on your team.
Like having a security superhero on call 24/7. But I bet that comes with a pretty hefty price tag too, right?
Yeah, you're not wrong. You get that consistent support and deep knowledge of your systems. But it's definitely a bigger investment, salary, benefits, all that. It's a commitment for sure.
So what about for companies that maybe don't have that kind of budget? Is part-time an option? Like having a consultant on retainer?
Absolutely. A part-time consultant can be a great fit, especially if you've got more project-based needs, like getting ready for an audit, or if you don't need constant support, you get the expertise without the huge cost. But keep in mind, they won't be as involved in your day-to-day operations.
Makes sense. So then there's also the option of bringing in a specialized firm, right? That's basically outsourcing, isn't it?
Exactly. Outsourcing to a firm can give you access to a whole team of experts with a wide range of experience. And it's often more cost-effective than hiring a full-timer, especially for shorter projects.
I see. But I imagine there are some downsides to that too. Like maybe they won't be as familiar with your company's specific needs.
That's a good point. Firms do bring a ton of experience to the table, but it does take them some time to learn your systems and processes. Clear communication is super important in that situation.
So it sounds like there's no magic formula. Choosing the right model really comes down to what your company needs, its resources, and its priorities.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, and your needs might change as your company grows. It's important to be flexible and reassess your approach over time.
Makes sense. Now, we talked earlier about going global for SOC2 talent. What are the big things to think about for someone considering that route?
Well, tapping into the global talent pool can be a really smart move, especially for startups or companies with limited budgets. You can often find highly skilled people in other parts of the world at a much more competitive rate.
That definitely sounds appealing, but I'm sure there are challenges that come with managing a remote team, especially across time zones and cultures.
You're absolutely right.
Communication can get more complicated.
And cultural differences can sometimes cause misunderstandings. But with the right tools and a focus on clear communication, you can overcome those challenges.
So it's a balancing act, weighing those potential cost savings against the importance of smooth communication and understanding.
Exactly. And it's crucial to remember that no matter where you find your consultant, building a strong relationship based on trust and open communication is essential.
It's like finding a business partner, someone you can trust and work well with to reach your security goals.
That's a great way to put it. And that's where theperfectdeveloper.com can be so helpful.
Right. Their 5 questions tool can help you narrow down your options and figure out those key qualities you're looking for, whether you're searching locally or globally.
It takes the guesswork out of it and helps you pinpoint those essential factors that will lead to a successful partnership.
So for our listeners who are ready to take that next step in their SOC2 journey, don't forget to check out theperfectdeveloper.com and give those 5 questions a try. It could be the key to finding your perfect match. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about one last thing. How can you make sure you're getting the most out of your consultant, regardless of where they are or how you hired them?
Well, the most important thing is clear communication and setting realistic expectations from the get-go. Before you even start interviewing anyone, you need to define your needs and goals for SOC 2 compliance. What are you most worried about? What needs the most attention? Having that clarity will help you choose the right consultant, one who understands your priorities.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like you said, having a roadmap before you even start the journey.
Yeah.
But beyond that initial planning, what are some tips for making sure things go smoothly throughout the whole process?
Keep those lines of communication open. Schedule regular check-ins to discuss progress. Talk about any challenges and make sure everyone's on the same page. Don't hesitate to ask questions or voice any concerns you might have. A good consultant will be happy to address them and keep you updated every step of the way.
So it's about building that open dialogue and working together.
Exactly. And remember, SOC2 compliance isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of monitoring and improving. So even after your audit, stay in touch with your consultant. Get their advice on staying compliant and be proactive about addressing any new security risks.
That's great advice. This has been a really informative deep dive into SOC2 consultants. I think we've given our listeners a much better understanding of what it's all about, and hopefully they feel more prepared to make the right decisions.
I hope so. Finding the right consultant can make a huge difference for a business, not just for compliance, but also for building trust with clients and protecting their data.
Definitely. And for anyone who's ready to get started, remember to check out theperfectdeveloper.com. Their 5 questions tool can be a game changer in finding the perfect fit.
It really streamlines the whole process. Give it a try and see for yourself.
All right, that's it for this deep dive into the world of SOC2 consultants. Thanks for joining us. We hope you learned some valuable insights. Remember, building a culture of security and trust is a journey, and having the right guide can make all the difference. Stay secure out there, and we'll see you next time.